Hey everybody, welcome to your horoscopes for this week. These are the horoscopes for the week ending May 20th, 2016. We got all kinds of good stuff going on this week, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to start, as we usually do, with Aries. Now, that trine between Uranus and Saturn is still there. It's going to be there for about another week or two, and then it's going to break up. And this trine between these two planets is really focused on specific goals around the home. When we're talking about our home-centered goals, we're talking about making changes in the home. And that squared position that Uranus has with Pluto might be showing that some of the people around you may not be as receptive to the change as you would like them to be. Now, before you go right to getting frustrated because you can't do what you want, there is a much better way to deal with this situation. Simply by sitting down and talking with those people and kind of coming up with a compromise, something that works for everybody. The truth is that, and it is in some ways a typical Aries trait, you get this idea, you get really excited about it, you just want to do it, and unfortunately you do it hoping that everybody is going to be okay with it, and sometimes that doesn't work out. So these two aspects coming together are actually teaching you that yes, those ideas are valid, they're great ideas, but you want to bring in everybody else too. It'll do a couple of things for you. One, it won't be so frustrating because it doesn't feel like you're fighting against everybody to get what you want. And two, it's just going to make the whole thing a lot more fun when you incorporate the family into it. So this week, you got those ideas, great. Let's talk about them before we actually go and do something. You never know. You might actually, that idea might actually work out better than you had originally planned it. So you guys, have a great week with that. Taurus, happy birthday to all the Tauruses born this week. This is the last week of the sun being in Taurus. In fact, at the end of this week, it's moving on out and moving over to Gemini. And at the beginning of the week, the sun and Venus will spend their last few days in that grand Earth trine with Mercury. Now, Mercury's in the grand Earth trine, of course, with Pluto and Jupiter. And this is a fantastic aspect because grand trines are all about really putting power into what it is that you're doing in a positive way. Grand Earth trines are all about getting things done, getting things organized. We've already come up with the ideas. Now it's time to put the work behind them. And these Grand Earth trines are a real good push towards getting that work done. Now, as the sun is moving out of your sign, he's moving into opposition with Mars. And while this Grand Earth trine has you feeling like you're finally getting there, this opposition between the sun and Mars kind of has you feeling like something is slowing you down while you're trying to get there. And that's a little bit frustrating because you don't want to be slowed down. You're on a good path. You're going full steam ahead. The last thing you want is to be slowed down. But this opposition is coming to slow you down for a reason. If you try and push forward and get to the end too quickly, you're going to undo a lot of hard work that you've done to get to this point. And you don't want to do that. That's definitely not productive at all. You want to slow down and take the time to really enjoy the journey because your goals are not about the destination of the goal. They're all about the journey to get there. And that's where the most fun is. That's where the juiciness is that journey. So this week, rather than trying to force your way through these obstacles, allow them to slow you down a little bit and allow yourself to take the time to smell the flowers and see all of these little things that are kind of sort of working themselves out as you're going along. So you guys have a great week with that. Gemini, it's official at the end of this week. Happy birthday to all the Geminis born on Saturday, because of course the sun is officially in Gemini on Saturday. Anybody born on Friday would be considered on the Gemini cusp. So happy birthday to you guys also. Those cusp babies are really important, you know. Now this week as the sun moves into your sign, it's all about power. And you know when we feel the sun coming into your sign, we feel like this is our time to shine. And you may be feeling this and really expecting that things are going to explode as the sun comes into your sign. But he's going to come in opposition of Mars, which really actually slows things down, and it almost seems to rob you of that big kaboom that's supposed to happen when the sun comes into your sign. And that might take the wind out of your sails a little bit, but don't let it discourage you. Actually, Mars is coming in opposition of the sun at this time, just to let you know and to remind you that, you know, too much time celebrating getting there is not good. You need to slow it down a little bit and make sure you pay attention to everything that's going on around you. It's not trying to steal your thunder. It's just trying to remind you not to get too ahead of yourselves. It does not mean, though, that you can't come into your own loud and proud as any true Gemini would. So this week, don't feel like this opposition is going to steal your thunder away. It's not. It might dull things a little bit down, but you know what? That's okay, because there's more than enough time for you guys to stand in your power. So you guys have a great week with that. Cancer, when it comes to reciprocation of love, it's not that all the rest of the signs don't deserve it, but Cancer seem to deserve it a little bit more than the rest of the signs. And the reason why is because of the amount of energy that they put out into everybody that they love. They really put 150% into those people in order for those people to understand just how much they are loved and valued by that Cancer. So when you feel yourself getting that reciprocation, it's a wonderful feeling, because Cancers are that sign that doesn't necessarily have an expectation to get it back. They would like to get it back. So when it comes to feeling like you're getting all this love back, it can actually be a little bit overwhelming. And though you enjoy the attention, you might be finding yourself sitting back wondering why you're getting all of this attention. And that is what the lesson is for you guys this week. When you're in that situation and you're not exactly sure why you're getting these things back, they may seem a lot bigger than what you're putting out. And the truth is that what we do for others, when we truly do it from our heart space, which is what Cancer is really, really good at doing, we don't measure it in how big or small it is. But when we see it reciprocated back to us, it can seem huge and overwhelming, and you can feel like you don't really deserve to have that. Well, this week it's time for you guys to really understand, one, what you do deserve, and two, to really understand just how much what you do for others does mean to those other people. Now, a lot of times when you're faced with this situation, you want to go, no, 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 I don't need that, that's okay. And what you're doing is you're denying that person of reciprocating everything that you've done for them. And even though it may seem very small to you what you've done to them it means everything. And they are giving it back to you in the way that they made them feel, not in the way that you made them feel when you did it. So this week, it's time for you to really understand just how much you deserve in terms of that reciprocated love, and enjoy it. Don't feel bad about it. Don't think that maybe somebody else deserves it more than you. You just enjoy it, bask in it, really, really feel it, and most importantly, have a fantastic time with it. You guys have a great week with that. Leo, this week it's all about taking a personal inventory of your time. When you sit down and take a bit of an inventory of your time, we're talking to Leos here. You have a multifaceted life with a lot of different things going on in that life. And every once in a while you've got to sit down and really organize all of these things that you're doing. But the most important thing, of course, is to make sure that time for you is incorporated into that schedule. Now, a lot of times it can go either way. Either you're spending too much time on you, or you're not spending enough time on you. And most of the time, it's all the energy goes out to everyone and everything else, and very little comes back to me. And I actually have clients who say, yeah, I take me time. I sleep at night. That's not me time. That's sleep time. It's a whole different ball game. Incorporating that time for you into your schedule does two things for you. One, it gives you a chance to regroup. When you're looking at all the things that you have to do, it gets overwhelming, and a lot of people will just freeze because it's too overwhelming for them. Taking this time for you gives you a chance to really look at what you have and schedule it out a little bit so it's not quite too overwhelming, giving you a chance to focus on one thing at a time. It also puts you in that awesome I am the king or queen mindset that gets things done. And you need to be in this mindset to get things done. If you're tired out, or you're strung out, or you're any one of these different negative things, chances are you're not going to perform your best anyways. And that's going to frustrate you because you want to be at your best every time you are doing a performance, whatever that performance is. So you need to make sure that you have at least a half an hour just to you a day to do whatever it is that you need to do for you in order to make sure that you have the energy to put out into everything that you're doing. So this week, prioritize and organize are the words for you guys. You can handle a life of all of these yummy things. You just have to prioritize and organize. And of course, take care of number one first. So you guys have a great week with that. Virgo, big plans are mustering and festering for you Virgos this week. But it's important to keep those plans to yourself sometimes. And that's what the lesson is about for you Virgos this week. Now, of course, Jupiter in Virgo is part of that grand Earth trine with Mercury, which is still in retrograde this week, and Pluto, which is also in retrograde. And this particular aspect is putting a ton of energy into you, improvements in yourself, making changes that you need to make in your life, and all in all, just accomplishing some awesomeness, because you know, that's what we got to do from time to time, especially Virgos. Virgos are awesome. So at the same time though, Jupiter is still in this T-squared position with Neptune and Saturn, and this is where the challenges come in. It's a very challenging aspect. It has been a challenging aspect, but it's also reminding you that nothing awesome that you do is going to come without some sort of challenge every once in a while. That's just the way that it is. If you talk to any successful person, not one of them is going to come up to you and say, yeah, it was all handed to me on a silver platter and I didn't have to do anything to get it. I just sort of woke up one day and here it was. No, they had to wade through fire. They had to work their buns off. They didn't take days off. I mean, it took a lot of work for them to get where they were, but it paid off because they are where they are right now. Also, they had to deal with something that everybody deals with, and that is people who think that their ideas just aren't really that good. And these types of people have very loud voices. They're always right there to stand up and say, no, that's not a good idea, and no, you shouldn't do it. And it doesn't matter what their motives are. It doesn't matter how they feel about you. The point is how you deal with the situation. And this is why this week it's important to keep some of those plans to yourself. You don't have to broadcast what you're doing to the whole entire world. What you can do, though, is do what it is that you're going to do and show them what you did later on. Now, those people that were going to stand up and say, you shouldn't be doing this, of course, you're going to take the fuel away because they have nothing to say. You've already done it. And it gives you a chance to show them you know what you're talking about in this particular instance. If this is something that is really pulled at your heartstrings, is something that you need to do, then you need to do it regardless of what anybody's going to say about it. And trust me, people are going to have something to say about it. So this week, it's time for you Virgos to be brave and maybe even a little bit silent while you get these plans going, and do what it is that you need to do in order to create the life that you want. You guys deserve it, you're Virgos. So you guys have a great week with that. Libra, you might be feeling this week like you're changing your mind a whole lot, maybe even more so than you change your underwear. And the moon coming into your sign this week is going to give you a little bit of an insight as to why that's happening. As the moon moves into T-squared position for a day or so with Pluto and Uranus, it really shows how many ideas you have, how many times you put those ideas out there, and how many people have an opinion about those ideas. And it's not the opinion of their ideas, it's your need to make those ideas into something that they will accept. That's the problem. And a lot of times this happens, especially with Libras. Libras being so pleasing and wanting to please everybody that they will change everything in order to make everybody else happy. And they always wind up unhappy because it just never works. So this week you have those ideas. You want to bring them out and tell people that's perfectly fine. But the challenge is to leave them be as they are. Advice is good. But if you feel that that advice is not going to work in your idea, then don't take it. The world's not going to stop if you actually say thank you but no. Okay? That's the biggest thing that you guys have to learn this week. So keep up with those ideas. Don't be changing your mind on those ideas because they're given to you in that way for a reason. Because you're the only one who's awesome enough to actually do something with that idea. So you guys have a great week with that. Scorpio. It is a full Scorpio moon at the end of this week, and as the moon moves into opposition with the sun and Venus at this time, this particular aspect may have you feeling a little bit like those old fears are coming back in terms of whether or not you are going to be successful in a venture or not, specifically career adventures or adventures around making money. But at the same time, as she moves into grand sextile position with Jupiter and Pluto, she's helping you bust through that old negative energy, bust through that glass ceiling of negative energy, and rise above this feeling. Now, that old negative feeling it's a fear pattern. It's a fear pattern that you're well aware of. You've been there before. You know exactly what it feels like. So it's easy to identify when it comes up. But as the planets line up in a positive way, it gives you an added boost of energy to rise through that fear. And anytime you're doing anything brand new, you're going to feel that fear. The difference between those who get things done and those who don't get things done is that they rise above that fear and they do it anyways. It's not about facing the fear. It's not about overcoming the fear. It's simply saying, fear, I'm not going to let you stop me this time. I'm going to do it anyways, and if you don't like it, kind of a thing. So this week, that is what it's all about. It's about rising above that fear. It's about doing it anyways, and because the moon is lining up the way that it is with Jupiter and with Pluto, you're going to find that you are absolutely surrounded by supportive people who are ready to be there on the sidelines, cheering you on, or right next to you, helping you get or achieve these goals that you're wanting to achieve. So this week, face that fear, look it dead in the eye and say, you know what, you're not stopping me today, and rise above it and see what kind of amazing stuff you can do. And you guys have a great week with that. Sagittarius, as Mars is in opposition with the Sun and Saturn, both of these planets being in your sign, is in that T-square with Neptune and Jupiter. Things are going to be quite chaotic this week for you guys, I'm afraid. And when you are really feeling pulled to do something in particular, all of these different aspects and different challenges and different things that are going on around you can become great big giant distractions and excuses for not doing what it is that you want to do. Now, this is a human problem. Every single one of us does it. And it's not that these things are not valid things. A lot of these distractions are family members and work and, you know, different responsibilities that you have. And Sagittarians, being in 10,000 places at the same time, you can get overwhelmed with the amount of responsibilities that you've placed on yourself. But really, as Saturn and Uranus are in trine position, it's telling you that there's actually something that you really want to do. It's been pulling at your heart. And you've been using all of these different aspects of your life as an excuse not to do that. The reason why this energy is becoming so hectic for you right now is because it's literally trying to push you into doing that thing that you want to do. By making the distractions and everything around you so intense and so complicated that you want to run away from it. And it's providing a place for you to run away to. And that's that place that you've been wanting to go all along. So this week, look at those distractions and look at those things that are going on in your life. Are they going to completely fall apart if you walk away from them? Maybe, but probably not. Look at them for what they are. And then reassess your life and really take a look at that thing that your heart is pulling you to do. If you have even an eensy-weensy amount of time in your life to do it, then you better get on it, because things are going to get even more chaotic and complicated as you continue to ignore your heart's calling. So you guys have a great week with that. Capricorn, Pluto's squared position with Uranus is slowing you down in the area of your personal goals this week, but you know what? That's okay, because things are lining up in almost every other aspect of your life this week, as Pluto is part of that grand Earth trine with Mercury and Jupiter, and at separate times this week, Pluto lines up into 2 grand sextiles with the Moon, Jupiter, Neptune, and Mercury. We got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we're talking almost every aspect of your life lining up like a well-oiled machine, like you like it to. And for a Capricorn, this is a chance to celebrate, because things don't always line up into a well-oiled machine very often. Now, of course, like I said, it's not every single aspect of your life. If you've got certain goals that you've been focused on, those things are going to slow down a little bit, or it's going to feel like you can't really make a lot of changes there. But the good news is that it gives you a chance to take a break from that for a minute and really focus on a lot of other things. Your family, relationships, career, all kinds of things are really lining up into a very good place. Does that mean that these goals are not going to line up? No, that's not what it means. It just means that now may not be the perfect time to focus on those goals. But you have plenty of time to get caught up on everything else. And getting caught up is definitely awesome. So this week, enjoy getting caught up, enjoy getting organized, and enjoy everything lining up the way you would like it to, because this doesn't happen very often. And like I said, for Capricorns, this is like the mecca of everything, when everything just comes together like a well-oiled machine. So you guys have a great week with that. Aquarius, this week it's time to get things done, and the part of fortune comes into your sign this week to shed some luck on getting things done and being productive and getting things organized. Now, Aquarians are very thought process driven people. They come up with some fantastic ideas, and they're always coming up with a whole bunch of fantastic ideas. The problem is they're not very good at actually doing anything with these ideas. This is what we need our earth signs for, so that we can give them an idea and they can make something of it, right? This week it's time for you guys, though, not to go to your earth signs, but to actually jot down these ideas and start actually making something of them. An idea is great, but unless you turn it into an actual something, an actual thing, it really doesn't do very much for you. I mean, you'll have the idea, but how can you share that brilliance with everybody else if you don't manifest it into something physical that they can share in too? And this is what's important. This is what you need to do. This week is giving you prime opportunities to be able to do that. And with that little bit of added luck there, you could have all kinds of stuff organized in a very generally unorganized world. So you guys have a great week with that. And finally, Pisces. Neptune is still in that T-squared position with Jupiter and Saturn. And of course, this is going to cause difficulties and challenges for you, because it really feels like when you have to make a decision, you feel torn between what's expected of you and what you want to do. And of course, that fear of making that decision is you're going to ultimately make somebody unhappy if you make the wrong decision for somebody. Now, what this does for most people in this situation is they just refuse to make a decision, period. And this makes everybody unhappy. So there's really no point in doing it, right? Now, the good news is Neptune's grand sextile with Pluto and Mercury is giving you an out and clearing this emotional space up just enough so that you can see through it. The point is, you need to make a decision. And if most of your decisions are based on what everybody else expects of you, it's time to start making decisions for you and what you expect of you. Don't put yourself on the back burner or your dreams on the back burner any longer. Sometimes you have to make that decision for yourself. Yes, some people are going to be unhappy, but the good news is they'll get over it. They usually do. And the truth is, you deserve to see just how far you can go in your own goals and plans. So this week, own that power. Own that decision. It's a big one. You're going to make a decision. I mean, most people don't see how important that is. But you can't get anywhere or be productive in anything until you make a decision. And it's really important that this week you make that decision. And it doesn't matter how you make it, because neither way is the wrong way, as long as you are staying true to you. So you guys have a great week with that. Thank you so much for watching the horoscopes this week. I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heavy Metal Psychic. Don't forget to check out all the links there displayed on the page. And also, you know, keep up with all of the things that the Heavy Metal Psychic is doing. Hey, if you're local to California, I am doing psychic parties, and they're tons and tons of fun. It's you, it's a few friends, it's some readings. It's absolutely fantastic. So look up one of those links to find out how you can get your party started. Again, I'm Melissa Bruce, the Heavy Metal Psychic. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great week, everybody.